having the after lunch discussion, because that's where most people are feeling a bit dozy. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet, as you heard from the boss here. But I really want to send a big message here to you guys. Now, if you look at the agenda up there, I talk about these projects as success and a pipe dream. Now, my surname is Pipe, and that's why they put that link. But you know, 10 projects have been a success, and I've got a huge lot of projects where I have been successful. I've been very lucky. I've worked for the government, I've worked for the private sector, I've worked for the mining sector, and I've worked for renewable energy. So I've got a pretty broad spectrum of working for a lot of clients and employees. What the Minister of Public Works did say, the Minister, was, now you guys, some of you here are aiming to get your certificate, your PRCPM or your PRCM, but how can it just be handed to you? You've got to work for it. So on that basis, I want to talk to you about what hard work does for you. And here you'll see that it's common belief that success in its ultimate form is a result of giftedness. In other words, if you gifted at what you're going to do, you're going to make it great. They say you look at the Bill Gates, your Mozart, your Muhammad Ali's, these are gifted people, and we all think, wow, I wish I was that gifted. But there's a person by the name of Malcolm Gladwell who's written a book called Outliers, and what he basically says is it's all about hard work. And he says, in fact, the success in this extreme can be achieved by very ordinary people, but like just you and me. Okay, and I'm talking around that. Almost a generation, the psychiatrists have been looking and saying, is there such a thing as natural talent that gets these people to the top? And the closest they look, the closer they start realizing that the people who've made it big in their careers, it's not just about their talent, it's been about hard work. And in fact, the bigger the preparation, the better you do. Okay? Gary Player, for example, I'm sure you've all heard this, said, the more I practice, the luckier I become on the golf course. So it's about hard work. Okay, here's a study the guys did. Okay, in the early 1990s, a psychologist by the name of Erickson went to a very fancy academic music school in Berlin. And when you get into the school, you've really got to be fantastic at what you do. You've really got to be a top, just to get in there. So you're talking about the gem of the gems. And of that lot, they broke it down into 3 groups. The one group that are going to end up being soloists, in other words, world famous. The second group would be merely good, and the third group, they said, would then become school teachers. And what they did was, they then, try to see this playing out, all the bodies were then asked the same question. Over the course of your entire career, when you picked the violin, you know, how many hours did you practice? And the answer was, in this particular case, they said everyone from all 3 groups said up until they all started about 5, and they all started doing the same amounts of time. But they said that at about 8 years old, things changed. And those who started to excel started putting in more time into it. And they basically said that 6 hours a week by the age of 9, 8 hours a week by the age of 12, 16 hours a week by the age of 14, and 30 hours a week by the age of 20. And basically, by the age of 20, the elite performers had put in something like 10,000 hours of practice. In contrast, the good students had put in 8,000 hours, and the mediocre guys had put in something like 4,000 hours. The striking thing, I'm just trying to get something to work. Okay, the striking thing about the study is they could not find any natural. So you could be the ultimate violin player, but if you did not work, you did not get to the top. That's one of the things of the study. The next thing, they could not find any grinds. In other words, people that worked their butts off and were also clever, that didn't get to the top. Okay? And that is what it is. And this is what they say. They're basically saying that it is what it is. And they're saying that it's not about just how hard you work. The guys who get to the top don't just work hard, they work much, much harder. So ultimately, they call the 10,000-hour rule, general rule of success. And I think that's what the minister was saying, is you're not just going to get your paper, you've got to work at it. You've got to keep pushing for it, you've got to keep getting that experience. And then you can now build from there. I'm limited in time, I'm still within my time, that Dirk's going to ring that bell. But very quickly, Trevor Noah, for example, guys. You all know Trevor Noah. I was watching him on TV the other night. I'm watching this guy, and I'm thinking, this guy, how smart this guy is. He's on the stage, he's walking up and down, he's in a suit, he's got a little table there, he's got his drink there, and he's chatting to a huge audience. And he's telling them story after story, and he's rolling it, and it's fantastic. And the people are laughing, and he's got them in the palm of his hands. And I said to myself, this guy, he must be an Einstein. This guy must be so bright to be like that. And actually, the truth is, he's a very clever guy. But he himself has said, I've got where I've got through hard work. And one can give other examples, like the Beatles and everything else, okay? But I'm trying to cut short here. But the point I'm making here, it's this 10,000-hour rule of success. You've got to put the time in to become what you need to become, if you really are that interested. So, now the question is, how do we know we're going to make our project successful? And you've heard, I was speaking to people during this break, and it was fascinating. There's some fantastic talent out here, I'm telling you right now, amongst you all. And what I want to just tell you is you can be the best project manager in the world, but if your roles and responsibilities are not aligned, and you've got employers issues or contractor issues, you can be the best project manager in the world, you're not going to get it right. And I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but it's very important that you understand your role players and you understand the limitation of your role players. So when you as a project manager work, you must know that guy's not there. Let's have a look, for example. By the way, this particular list doesn't show the subcontractors. I'm going to get to that. Let's look at the employer, for example. I mean, how many times have you come across an employer where they've got an inexperienced individual? How many times you come across an employer that's got inexperienced management? He might be the greatest guy, but his management are not turning things around. I spoke to someone during lunchtime about trying to get a VO out of the employer and how long it took and how much it actually ended up costing in standing time. My point I'm making, you employer, you must know, you've got a huge contribution to make to your project. It's not just your project manager. The slow turnaround often happens. Over-interfering, that's often the issue. I've got employees who want to interfere too much. They don't want to take accountability, but man, do they want to interfere. I've got employees who are not interested at all. I actually don't know which one is worse. Okay? Cash flow. How many projects in this country are standing because the employees run out of money? You as a project manager, what can you do about that? There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. But my point I'm saying is, you need to know these different roles. Cumbersome requirements. Some of these employees are working off contracts, as you gave a nice little chat about contracts, that are antiquated. They haven't taken into account the latest developments. They haven't got the right forms in. And all of that is cumbersome. Consortium and JVs. Have you guys ever worked for a consortium or a JV? I've worked for consortium and JVs which have gone wrong. You must try and take direction from your senior people, because you're the project managers looking for direction, and they can't decide, and they're fighting like mad dogs between themselves. That is recipe for disaster. What do you do as project manager? It's a hell of a thing. Let's look at the project manager, the weakness of a project manager. You could have a project manager who's got no history or memory, in other words, no experience, which is the next item. Probably overcommitted. Some project managers are running 6, 7, 8 projects at a time, where they actually should maybe be running 2 or 3. Unreliable professional team. Have you ever been a project manager on a project where you've got an unreliable professional team? It's a hell of a thing getting this project over the finish line. Overwhelmed. I've seen very good project managers who've become so overwhelmed because the professional team and everything else is just not working for them. They basically give up. Poorly supported by their own company, poorly supported by the employer. Weak employer's contract. When I say weak employer's contract is, as you were saying earlier on about contracts, boy, they can make or break a project.
So these are the things you have. And then, of course, once again, consortium JV. Contractor, you can be the greatest employer in the world, you can be the greatest project manager in the world. But if you've got a contractor that's under-resourced, well, sure, put him on notice. If he's got cash flow, well, best of luck. What you going to do? Give him the money. So now you've got to make plans and try and pay them in advance and then get some form of guarantees. And this contractor may not be able to get guarantees. These are all things that go wrong on projects. No systems, poor management, bad luck, force majeures, unfair contract. I mean, between the contractor and the employer. I've seen it very often. And consortium JVs. Have you ever tried to manage a contractor that's a consortium JV where they're having more internal politics than the politicians that run our countries? It's impossible. So I want you guys just to know, these are all the hurdles that you can have as a project manager, but not just as a project manager. If you're an employer out there and your project's failing, don't just point at your project manager. Look at all of this and say, where is the problem? But it doesn't stop there, because as the lady said to me during lunchtime, is nowadays our contractors subcontract most of their work out. So which means they're now dealing with subcontractors. Now in our particular case in South Africa, I spoke earlier on SMME issues. Sometimes there's too many SMMEs. You go into an area, you've got jobs for 4 SMMEs, but there's 30. How do you give 30 SMMEs a job which is aligned for 4? Immediately there's going to be problems. There's SMMEs with their own agenda. There's some SMMEs that turn up there purely to ride the project. Not always, but there's very often that one bad apple that's going to upset it up for the rest. And that was a discussion I had with Canon. It just takes one guy and the project can become cumbersome. And also Mark out there, you said you guys on the mines had that problem. A small group of people was bringing the whole project to a standstill. What do you do as a project manager? Well, good luck. What do you do? Extended community issues, inexperience. Well, you can expect that with some of the SMMEs, and that's why you've got to give them the support we spoke about. Cash flow, once again, the subcontractor can have cash flow, which will then put cash flow problems onto the main contractor, and so on, and under-resourced. And these guys are the challenges you have as a project manager. And it's really important that when you go onto a project, you don't just look down, you look up, you understand your risks down and up. If you're the employer, understand that it doesn't stop with your project manager or the contractor. What are you doing wrong that you could do better? And it really is about that whole lot gelling. And it can and it does, but very often it doesn't. Okay. So with that being said, I want to just quickly run through what I want you guys to please take away from, with this, and that is this. On any project, I like to put a triangle up, and it's a triangle that's got quality, program, and budget. And I don't have health and safety on it, because health and safety cannot be compromised. I do not allow it to be compromised, okay? So let's just make that clear. I don't put it on this. Okay, now, you want to be successful in your project? You want to run that nuclear of your triangle between those points. Because what happens is when one of them starts getting chased, like program. I've been in a project where the client awards the project 3 months late, but he still wants you to deliver it by the same date. Oh, and he doesn't want you to spend any more money, and then gets surprised the quality goes for a loop. Really? So you must know, the moment you take that nuclear away from your triangle and it starts moving, it starts impacting on the other two, and I've seen it. Likewise, if quality becomes an issue, you're going to definitely have a program and a budget impact. And you've got to know this triangle. It's the basic. I'm saying keep it simple. And likewise, if your budget becomes the main issue, you're going to end up having a problem with your program and your quality. So it's really important as project managers while you're out there that you can remember this triangle and keep going back to it, okay? And I'm rushing like crazy now, guys. Project life cycle. Let's just talk about that. And this is the simplicity of it. Remember, I'm the guy you heard, assessors. If you do not know the project life cycle as someone who's making application to become a professional construction project manager, well, I'm sorry, you're not going to get through. You need to know it. And it's basic. I'm telling you basic stuff here. It's your inception, your concept, your design development, your documentation, construction, and closeout. That's the basics. Know it, okay? Next thing. I talk about 5 pillars of project management. I've got quality, safety, but it's health and safety. I'm just keeping it short there, but thank you, ma'am. It's budget, program, and risk. I'm saying to you, no matter where you are, in any project you are, in any stage of the life cycle, if you take these 5 pillars and you apply them, you're probably going to be fine. PMBOK, this guy came into the interview with a book this thick. And I'm thinking, man, you guys are complicating it. Keep it simple. Know your project life cycle and take your 5 pillars and you're going to be fine. Put me on any project in this country, put me to stage 1, inception, and I'm going to speak to quality. How are we going to deal with that quality, Mr. Klein? I'm going to speak about health and safety. I'm going to make sure we have a consultant on board. I'm going to speak to budget. What budget do we have? That's stage 1. What program do we have to work to? What risks do we have? That's that basic. Hey, and guess what? Let's go to stage 2. It's the same pillars. I sit in interviews, interviewing candidates, and I say, right, so tell us, what do you do in stage 2? And the guy tries to remember that list this long from the Gazette. Whereas all he had to do was speak to these 5 pillars, because it all comes back to these 5 pillars. The risk one is the catch-all. The risk is the one that we don't do well. The risk I find is done very badly generally by construction managers. I don't want to generalize. Maybe of the 200 people I've interviewed, 180 of them do it wrong. The other 20 do it fine. Because risk is about getting your people to look into the future. Look ahead and see what can go wrong. And if you are doing that in each of your stages, here we go, stage 3. There it is all again, the same pillars. Keep it simple. Know your project life cycle, take 5 pillars and always apply it. Put me on any one of your projects and tell me what stage you're in. I will quickly bubble myself up to where I need to just by taking these 5 stages and looking at them. And I think it's that simple, and I want to tell those guys who make an application, keep it simple. Don't go and try and study something this big. When you go to implementation, to document and procurement, so ma'am, I'm almost finished. What goes into your contract document? Well, it's your quality stuff. It's your health and safety specification. It's your bill of quantities. It's your program. Oh, and it's your risk, which contract we're going to use. It all comes back to the 5 pillars. It's that basic. It's that simple. One of the questions I like to ask the candidates is, right, you, Mr. Project Manager, you're about to run a project for me. Tell me what would be a typical agenda you would have with your contractor. Give me a typical agenda. And the guy says, well, welcome and introductions and maybe any apologies. And you can see the guy's battling. But if he spoke to these 5 pillars in that agenda, it would deal with 80-90% of the issue. It's that basic, guys. Stage 6 and almost done. Once again, you close out. How do I close out? Go back to your 5 pillars, run through them again, and it all falls in place. And that is it. Keep project management simple. I believe it's become overcomplicated. I think the theory behind it is overwhelming people. I've had a lot of successful projects by keeping it simple, but never forgetting those 5 pillars. Never forgetting the best tool that we've ever been given, and that's risk management. And when I say risk management, I'm not talking about fancy pie charts with different colors and that. Keep it simple. A simple little table of what can go wrong, what's the impact, and a likelihood, and rank them, rate them, and get out there. Okay, thank you.